I'm ready for us to entertain.
I have a question, but I'll move the items.
Sure. All right.
First, on item 2, quality accounts, employee background. Does the personnel board not do background checks before they do?
So when you said not like this, what does that mean?
Well, this is a more in-depth background check. The personnel board reviews for minimum qualifications. So it's just kind of two different things. And they get 200 applications, where we get a much smaller group that we're doing the background check on. Once we make a hire, we only do that one that we actually hire.
So do me a favor, if you don't mind, since we've had a discussion about this particular item, that this contract, as I understand it, was one that had expired, and this is a basic renewal of that contract. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Same company?
Different company, and the previous company was taking up to 2 or 3 weeks, and when we were looking at our process, the time to fill the position, this was 2 or 3 weeks of wasted time, so we got with this company and tried them out. They're much faster, much more efficient. This cuts our time to fill by 2.5, 3 weeks.
Any other information that you want to share with
No,
us?
and just primarily, we have safety sensitive positions, truck drivers, all those kind of things. We have to do a check on their, CDL license, that type of thing. It's just beneficial that when it was taking 3 weeks, it was killing us. So we're excited to get this contract.
It should never
Right.
take that long. That's my opinion. And it should never take that long.
So we're excited to get this contract with them.
Okay. And then the last thing that we discussed is that this has nothing to do with appointed positions. More or less, this is the county employees in general that are under your purview. Is that correct?
Correct. It has nothing to do with the commission, their staffs. It is only the merit system, the employees under the appointing authority that we have to employ and make sure they don't have anything they're carrying with them that would affect their safety sensitive duties that they have to fill in the county.
Has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Dick, I'm glad we went on that.
So for the personnel board,
Move 1 and 2.
all right, it has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All right, we have for other business under District 1, a total of 12 items, all are related to community grants for schools in the district. Okay, it's been moved, and a second.
Well, you got some infrastructure.
I'm sorry.
You said it was community grant.
Oh, excuse me.
You got both.
No, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I do. I have one community and the other is the infrastructure. And thank you. So, now that you've corrected me, we got it first and second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye for infrastructure and community grants. Thank you. I appreciate it. You've been all that noise and got quiet. All right. I think that, all right. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all we have at this point. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have 3 items this morning for the Birmingham Urban League ERAP Program 2. We are required to have all the funds for this particular grant obligated by December 29th, and we're giving the partners until the 20th to extend the funds, and we want to extend that out to March 10th just in case in our review we determined that there's some more eligible items that can be expended. So we just extended that out until March 10th, 2024, to give us time to close that project out, which will occur on March 30th.
I'll be 1 through 3.
Before we carry the vote, Dr. Hamilton, I do have an ask, and I think it's only fair to the body if you do this, as it relates to with Urban League, if we can have a report to be brought before the commission. I know one of the things that we've talked about is, making sure that constituents are being served. And I know I heard call you about, a couple this point, being that, we've been very supportive, but making sure that those funds are getting to the general public.
Yes,
I think it's about time now that we have,
Sure.
them to come, if it's possible, if we can have them at the next meeting, committee meeting,
Yes.
so that they can let us know how many constituents that, we've already serviced,
Yes, ma'am.
and then how many that we project based upon the money that we just recently allocated, how many people that we expect to do and what. I think that'd be, that's a reason to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have something, from the, District Attorney, D.A. Washington. Do we have anyone on the line?
I'll move. I'll second.
Okay, first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have family court, James, are you on the line?
That's electronic monitoring program, I'll go ahead and move that too.
Second.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have, two community grants.
Move items 1 and 2.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. And hold on, wait a minute, Madam Chair. I want to make sure, Justin brought this to my attention. On the Walton Park Foundation grant, is noted on here, but I thought that, he said that we needed to do as in Justin. Yeah, so that's why I want to bring it up, because I want to make sure that it's included in this overall total. We talked about it, and I see it on here, but I think there's an assumption of the agreement, it's the agreement that needed that additional $25,000. I get it, but what I'm saying is that, he said that the agreement needed to be changed, because it's been changed already.
Everything is already in process, it's already been done.
Okay.
I want to thank everyone for, giving to, the Walton Park. I know, Commissioner Ammons took leadership Birmingham, with one of the directors.
Darlene.
Darlene. And, thank you for, helping me.
Yeah, we had done a grant to them last year for right at point time too, so this is in addition to that, so.
A lot of-
You might want to share, Commissioner, what the project is about, so.
It's several things that they're doing up there at the park. If you go up there now, you can see, really the change of the landscaping of the balcony, isn't it, Ammons, where they have actually paved and put steps down and actually added a parking lot to that part. And also they have extended the grass, kind of laid the grass out going down. It was very beautiful view. And they also have a summer series of jazz concerts and movies in the park there. And also they have a youth leadership camp during the summer where they bring the children, the young people up there and educate them on different issues in the history of Birmingham. I'm very impressed.
Well, just help repair that base too.
Yeah, the pedal store.
The pedal store.
And the foot.
The pedal store
Can you have bulky top enough?
Did too much to put it back up.
and they already did his bottom part. They did that.
Let me ask this too.
Where bulky?
Let me ask this question, I don't know if the park has, their donors or supporters on it. I think it would be a great ask, to ask Darlene if the county's logo could be on there. I think that the county at this point probably has done a sizable amount, to help with the project. I think it'd be good, especially since we celebrated bicentennial for the county at Walton, to see if we can have, Commissioner, if we can have the county's logo up there in support of what we've done previously and currently.
Okay, I would ask her that, maybe we can do it for the Fourth of July. Yes, put the Fourth on the skirt, we might have to put it on the skirt.
So items 1 and 2 under, of the business has
Thank you so much. End of my report.
Okay. Administrative and Infrastructure Committee.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. Yes. For whatever reason.
Commissioner, we have two items. One is our software agreement for our file handling system. It's a software system for our claims management process to process our claims. And the second is an amendment to Widow Bryan's contract to add funds to the contract with some of the ERAP funds for a building system program.
I move 1, 2, 3.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next. You want it?
I'll do it.
There you go.
First one, Commissioners, is a resolution to create economic development position under the county manager. Talking to Commissioner Ammons, with Odell moving on to somewhere else, it was a good time to do this if y'all want to consider it. My vision of kind of how this would work is y'all would set the vision, the policy, and goals for that. Then we would simply strategize how to best meet your goals and create organized, efficient methods for meeting the goals and reporting back to you. So,
It allows for consistency between commissions. If we're no longer here, then there's somebody that stays here, that items that come back to the county that you pay job incentive, something like that, there's somebody here that can consistently do that. Not that we're giving up any control or anything like that, but if we vote to do this, then the manager's office has that person, and I don't hire a chief of staff. Otherwise, I need to hire a chief of staff to help facilitate some of these, and it's a good opportunity.
So hold on before you
With this, you talk about this economic development position, so do y'all have someone in mind already? Is this set up for a particular person that y'all already know about?
no, ma'am.
It seems like that's what it's been.
No, we don't. And if y'all choose to go forward, we run a job description, do it advertised, and go through the process to make sure we hire the best possible person to meet the goals that you all set.
So I have a couple questions. Especially after hearing what I just heard, which is, so how's this, what funding source is this individual or this posting will be paid out of? Where's their salary come from?
It will come from the general fund budget.
Okay, and do you have an amount set, or is that something that you're gonna come back with us, to us about?
That'd be something we can come back to you about.
Okay, so,
Probably in the 100 to 150 range is what I kind of look at.
okay, so I understand based on what you said about institutional knowledge, I can appreciate that. So, but if it's in the event for you not to hire a chief of staff in your office, then it seems kind of like, we may be double dipping here, because if it's coming out of general fund, but it alleviates your office from having to hire someone, then that's additional dollars that's freed up in your office, am I correct? Okay, but, I mean, is that fair? I ain't, but you know what, I'm not asking you, commission, do y'all think that's fair? Because if that be the case, then, you know, we need to be entertaining some other commission officers the same way. I mean, you know, it's the only standing committee that, I believe we're going in a good direction to have, because to me, I thought it was very ethically challenging personally, so I appreciate that. But I don't want it to be where that means that you don't have to hire anyone, and then therefore you have an additional 150 or whatever you had allocated for Othel, you still have those dollars in your coffin.
But it's set aside for personnel expense, not necessarily for anything else.
No, but what I'm saying though, Commissioner, if that eliminates you from having to hire someone, then that means that you could give a directive to this economic development person because you chair that committee.
They're an employee of the county, we can't give any directives to employees, those are his employees.
Well, but if that that person is working for him and he works for us, and you giving him a directive, and he in turn gives them a directive, then we still are at the same point. Now, the only thing that I say, and I really appreciate this item, but I wanna be clear that one should have no impact on the other, because, this commission moved away from a committee of 3 to a committee of 5. So that person, that individual, with this unclassified position, you and I discussed this as well, that's an unclassified position. According to what you told me, it will be posted to the general public, so that we're getting the best and brightest to help us in regard to economic development for all of Jefferson County, right? Okay, so, but that should not eliminate the need for anyone, I don't care whose office it is. See, Commissioner Tyson and I come from a city that there was a council member that operated the same way. And so they didn't have to hire anyone because the council administrator was helping that office. Where if we are spending out of our budget, what negates another commissioner, in this instance, from spending money out of their budget?
Look, I could very well hire somebody, I just didn't think that it was necessary, and it wasn't a good use of funds to do that, so.
Yeah, but your chief of staff have more than just economic development to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would, she has a point, I would suggest that perhaps a different skill set. You know, each one of them have different areas, maybe someone in IT that would be able to deal with it, but we all need a chief of staff. And it may be someone that's a little different, has a different skill set, but I would want you to relinquish your chief of staff position.
Well, I'm willing to give up $100,000 if everybody else is willing to give up $100,000.
I understand.
I already, so now it's already getting paid then.
Michael said he didn't mind.
No, Mike's not my chief of staff. He's
No.
not my chief of staff.
You better be careful, because he was just giving up that 100, and he wanted you to give up 100 too.
He's
And
not.
when your 100 goes, whoever you
No,
got it
I'm
now.
now already making 100, so I don't have to give up nothing. I already have a chief of staff in my office. And this, y'all gonna give me an extra $150 out of, $150,000 out of the general fund, and I think that salary need to come out of economic development, and it don't need to come out of the general budget. You got $50 million on it.
It seems like we've got a lot of, could I suggest perhaps, why don't you, work on this position, come back and present it back to the commission? And I'm for it. I think it's something that they get good. But we need to know before we give the final thing. A little bit more of the work.
Can we do this, Mr. President, that we pass the item with a contingency of funding source, that this commission is more comfortable with?
On the job description.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
the job
well,
description.
I'm saying,
I
we
agree.
along with
I
the
agree.
policy and all of that, but at least the position would have already moved
If
forward.
I can interject, there's a two-part aspect of this. So the first part of this is before the county manager's office, anybody can move forward, the first thing that has to happen is the position has to be created. If in fact the position is created, then you can move forward with a range of salary and a source of funding once you get to that point.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
at this point, the position needs to be created before there can be any further
All right,
discussion.
and there's a motion. All right, and before that,
Yeah, so,
I
I moved it.
all right, hold on just one second. While we do that, this is an appointed position. Okay? This is not a merit position. Correct. Does he have that ability under the County Manager Act to do that?
Yes.
All right, so we have that. Yes. All right, we have a motion, second, all in favor? Aye. There we go.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next, Film Birmingham Partnership Agreement. This is simply the state's improvement in film industry. This group will kind of coordinate anybody wanting to do a film. This don't cost us any money, but if somebody's coming for a film, we'll make sure they're signed up with this group. And it saves us a lot of time and talent. Mostly it'll help us have bigger lead times if they say they're coming they sign up with this group, we'll get some information that we can get to y'all sooner instead of last minute, hey, we want to be on the doorstep, tomorrow morning and shoot a little something. So,
I'll move items 2 through 5, if there aren't any questions.
Have a motion?
I'll second that.
Now I have a question.
All right.
Why are we turning this over to the Birmingham Substance Control by the Birmingham City Council on number 2? That's, you gotta come through, that entity is, on Birmingham is, the way I understand it, controlled by the City Council of Birmingham. So they have to come through there. So if somebody wanted to contact us in the county, you gotta go through there in order for it to even get here, is the way I understood it.
They can contact us, but this, in my understanding, this group is kind of the state's, recruitment, not recruitment, but, like the film industries, the industrial recruitment. It's an arm of the states for that. They can come to us, this just is like a warehouse where they can get signed up, get their information, and they may share with all the cities in the county, and it saves a lot of coordination, but.
So let me ask you
just
this,
for
like,
the
for
expert.
example, when Bruce Willis was here not too long ago, is that kind of one of those things that similar to this? Where they use those as incentives in order to attract filmmakers into the region? That's what we're talking about?
But it's part of the Alabama Film Office. Right. And they've got, what, like 25 million that they incentivize for films.
If this is, if they're part of that, I think we have.
I'll find out for sure.
I don't want to pass it unless I know.
I agree.
I don't want to pass it unless I know.
Well, the way my little research I did on it is like Birmingham, unless there's a different company, and it's just, there's a misnomer here, it's by the Birmingham City Council.
We can, y'all, if it's okay with y'all, we can table this one, and I'll get that information for you, make it clear.
I'd rather, I feel more comfortable.
Well, let me ask you something, Mr. President, then do we entertain perhaps maybe letting it go through committee with the understanding of having that information by first? And if not, then he can withdraw it at that time.
If this was something that was time sensitive, it would make,
Okay.
that would make different, but I think we're okay. You let him do proper research on it, bring it back to the next.
I remember they used to contact Tony and they would want to do,
They did.
In the courthouse.
and Cooper Green and some of these film industries, so why, I'm saying, why should they have to
Go through
those
inmates
steps in order
about
to come?
Well, especially if it's
But
not
the way it's-
county, if it's controlled by the city council, it's not
That's what I
county-wide.
understood.
Well, but the item, if we read it, it says agreement designating Film Birmingham, the designated local film office for the Alabama Film Office. So is that where your hiccup is that it's saying Film Birmingham? As in, that is,
No,
it sounds like that is the entity.
Exactly, but
Like that's
what
the
is
entity.
Film Birmingham
Right.
is the question now.
Right.
And I understand, and I'll get that
And who controls it?
Yeah, we'd be better
Those
served.
people,
Take it.
whatever it is. I
Okay,
don't know.
so, but now you withdraw on item number 2, so then move items 3, 4, and 5 if there aren't any
One.
questions. No.
Yeah, one's already been done, 3,
Yes,
4, and
3,
5.
4, and 5.
Do I have a motion for 3, 4, and 5? All in favor?
All
Thank you.
I want to thank Chris Willis getting us that deal on the, already, the reducing the organic space. Those things are expensive, and this is a good discount price.
Road grant.
We purchased those from the World Games, so. that helps.
At least that's something to learn.
You got a full agenda here.
Yes, sir.
I'll move 1 through 17.
Okay.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you. We also have a presentation for you today. This is a draft for your review of the bicycle and ped plan. So this was done through a grant with the MPO and is important because this allows us to to make kind of high-level, planning designations about where,
I get a black and white.
What- we'll bring you a new binder.
I just appreciate you including.
So, we have a presentation, but just to give a little bit of background about this. In order to ensure that we are providing, for multimodal facilities within the road projects, it's important to, craft a plan that takes into account where we need to invest in this infrastructure, how this infrastructure is going to be connected, built out, and maintained. One of the primary challenges when we talk about pedestrian and bicycle facilities, obviously, is providing a connected and safe network that can be usable. Oftentimes, when we get into federal type projects, because there are requirements under those environmental commitments with those federal dollars, they just specifically require some of this infrastructure, but what ends up happening is that it's never connected to anything. And so it really sort of loses its value, and it becomes sometimes more of a maintenance issue, and we have just these large sidewalks that then have end sidewalk on both ends of them, and that's really not the way that we want things to work. So this plan was developed based on a number of different factors, and I will say, we built on the public outreach that was done through the MPO's bicycle and pedestrian plan. One of the particular challenges that we run into is that we have so many different types of uses and development patterns that we have to accomplish. So this is the first comprehensive plan of its nature that we put together. I'm quite sure that as we move into the comprehensive plan update, that there will probably be proposed updates to these. They are, of course, a living document. Feedback is tremendously important to us. We have made some preliminary decisions, recommendations, just in the scope of where we are, but these are intended to change to shape kind of that policy and that guidance. So I'm gonna turn this over to Tyler Hayes, who is an engineer in our office and was very involved in the development of this with, along with the whole engineering group and Alta.
Hi everybody, I'm Tyler Hayes. I was the project manager for roads and transit for this project. Alto, as like you said, Alto was the consultant we used to develop this plan. And you've got some slides we're going to go through here. This just kind of shows that the general study area that we looked at during this project, and that it was the unincorporated areas along county maintained roads inside of Jefferson County. Jumped ahead, but this is just showing that it was the county maintained roads that we looked at, and these are, and we had the existing infrastructure. This is the existing bikeways that we have right now in Jefferson County. This is a survey showing from the Be Active plan from Greater Birmingham and the Regional Planning Commission. This is the level of comfort that bicyclists have currently in Jefferson County, and Alta uses a lot of algorithms to determine that.
Hey, can you go back a slide real quick? I just have a question. So go on forward, Helen. Keep going. Study existing bikeways. Does that constitute all of the Red Rock Trail system that's currently in place?
In the unincorporated areas.
In unincorporated, okay.
Yes.
All right, good, thank you.
They use an equity analysis to kind of determine that there are areas of the county where walking and bicycle and pedestrian travel is not just a choice, it's a necessity. To get childcare, work, groceries, and that kind of thing. So they use an equity analysis to kind of determine where the walkability scores need to be improved in these areas. And this just gives a breakdown of that, the factors that were included. This shows where you can see the darker shades are the high levels of impact that it will have, down to the lighter shades that are low. The factors were age, race, vehicle access, income, limited English proficiency. They just use this to determine, like I said, where walkability was a necessity and not an option.
Hey, John, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
On your equity analysis,
Yes,
in the hard copy, I don't know if there's like a deep shaded burgundy. Are those the roads that you all have determined, will be hard in terms of, construction and improvements?
No, ma'am, what this is just showing that the equity analysis due to, it's not really determining on the roads at this point. This part of the analysis was more about what was in those particular neighborhoods that would drive the need for us to provide more pedestrian access.
Okay,
The darker shades are showing that that area has a greater need than the lighter shades.
okay. And do we, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
If I may, this helps us inform policy decisions about what processes we are using to support the need for the construction of that infrastructure. So that may be through a combination of requirements of development in conjunction with projects we have planned or special specific projects, depending on how we are then identifying, because this may be a combination of safe routes to schools and other things, so there may be additional tiered criteria within there that helps us select then the projects within those high impact areas. So it's a matrix basically that helps inform those decisions.
And I basically want to know, are you all working on a strategy to, execution strategy for those areas that are darkest shaded?
So, through the comp plan and this plan, yes, I mean, not the goal is always to transition those areas, with those high impacts and those needs into the higher level of service. That's what all of the planning is really about, is with the road scores, with the facility, the infrastructure that we're maintaining. Our goal is ultimately to establish that level of service countywide based on the specific needs. Our challenge becomes that there's such a diversity of challenges, and so the more information we have, the more tools we have in that toolbox, the better and quicker we can move that.
Thank you.
This is the demand analysis that takes into account everything that we've talked about to this point. It's just showing some areas, the points on the map are showing areas of greater need.
What is the greater need areas?
At this point, it was the greater need areas are the ones that do not currently have safe pedestrian and bicycle facilities, that the level of comfort of the bicyclist and the need for walkability in these areas outweigh those of others.
Go back one.
And it coincides with darker shades on this too.
If I could request,
We will get you on your color, yes.
well, I mean, I can't read these maps
Here you go.
in black and white.
Here.
I'll get one.
No, we'll just take this, and I'll get one a little bit, because I don't think there's many in here.
That's all right, I'll get one.
I'll add to the commissioners, when we spend federal highway money on a federal highway, county road is eligible for federal highway money, you have to consider pedestrian facilities. So this plan is pretty much required by the Federal Highway Department. And that way, this is a well thought out plan that actually will create some connectivity. So when we're doing road projects, this will help us not put facilities that are not needed and put them and get funding for where they are needed, or it may help aid in different types of grants.
So this is really to help facilitate future grant
Right.
opportunities and funding sources.
Federal money, right, and you
of the plan, is the appropriateness of the facility and how safe we can make it. And one of the challenges that we often run into because of those requirements, with federal dollars, when you don't have a plan of this nature, is that they will require those facilities adjacent to those high-intensity roadway facilities, which is, from a safety perspective and from an engineering perspective, not that preferred, right? It's dangerous, and any time that you have an issue with a vehicle versus pedestrian or bicycle, it's statistically not going to end well. So the preference and the approach that we have taken is to provide focus on separated, safer, multi-use, connected facilities that are more appropriate from just a use and a safety perspective, but because we are going through the planning effort, we also then have a document that we can use with FHWA that says we don't have to specifically do that in this location where it's less preferred and appropriate. We have the ability to put it over here in the better location as a more safe facility with that connectivity.
So for example, let's say you're gonna get money to resurface Martin Luther King Drive. They say, well, you gotta have a sidewalk. And to get the right of way, it costs a tremendous amount of money and it almost kills the project. Well, we've got a thought out plan that says we could create some connectivity over here or over there, away from the road and at a much cheaper price. They see it's been thought out and they say, okay, excellent. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's hard to
Basically,
put.
instead of just outright declination, you coming up with a plan that will already, for lack of better words, that would intake any other county. I mean, it's kind of like you can say no, but we've got another plan for you to consider.
Exactly.
And that plan is comprehensive in nature, so it allows us to still have a counter as opposed to an absolute no.
Exactly. And if you think about Jefferson County and the topography, you've got the steep hills, you try to put a road, you got a steep hill, and you gotta go out another 20 feet into that hill or into all these businesses to buy right away to put a safe, is extremely costly.
So they can walk their bike up the hill.
Right. So it's a great plan, and it's really gonna help us on the roads.
Part of the evaluation criteria was, a big part of it was safety. So the way they looked at that is we used the crash data that's been collected throughout the county to see where there were high density areas of crashes, especially those that involve pedestrians. Make sure that we try to avoid those areas while still maintaining the connectivity that we're at. This just kind of goes into explaining a little bit further what we talked about. Vehicle speed is a factor in safety. Like Heather said, you do not want to put these facilities next to a road with high volume, high speed traffic. So this just shows you a visualization of those crash density areas. I apologize for the black and white copies, you probably can't. We had public involvement is a huge part of this development of this plan. Public engagement efforts today, we had surveys with 600 responses. We had some online interactive mapping tools. We had it advertised on the news. We did several social media blasts. But right after we started our public involvement on this, COVID-19 hit, and it posed several issues to the in-person public engagement that we would have liked to have held. So we came up with a plan working with Alta to do these online interactive maps and try to get the public engagement that's needed for this plan in the COVID-19 situation. This is an example of the online interactive map. We did have a lot of response to it. You could get on here and it showed the existing county maintained roads, it showed the existing biking and pedestrian facilities. We asked the citizens to provide input on the existing facilities and their level of comfort with them, as well as any suggestions for new facilities that they would like to see us do. There were over 1,200 visits to the map, 51 suggested routes. There were 68 barriers identified, and we also went back and did another round with the interactive map to see if we could get some additional input from the public, and we did get the additional input that we were looking for. shows where our focus areas were on the prioritization of these projects. It was the pedestrian network, the on-street bikeways, and then the side path and greenway network that we're looking for. And this gives you a little better description of what that is. Here's some examples of the type of facilities, recommended facilities. You see at the top right there, you've got a separated sidewalk. That's kind of what we talk about more on the high volume, high speed roads, or, higher speed roads. We're trying to avoid the high speed roads. Whereas you have the shared use path at the bottom where you have a pedestrian lane and bicyclist in the same roadway. You've got the complete separated shared use pedestrian and bicycle path. You've got even further where you see the big truck down there that requires more separation due to the speeds on the road.
Can you hold on just a moment, sir? That's kind of mad because I'm trying to keep up with what he's saying.
I'm sorry.
I prefer to look at it here than there. Let me ask you something. We have a meeting on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Will some of this be a part of it? I think this is a lot to try to absorb in this setting, because it's good stuff and you've done a lot of work.
The intention was to provide this informational at this point, simply because there is so much to digest, and to give an opportunity for another round of input or feedback, as it were, before we would ask for adoption. Obviously, with any of these plans, they're always living documents.
Right.
But this gives us a foundation.
So
My point is,
it won't be on there Thursday?
Not the formal adoption. So this was the presentation to familiarize yourself with the work that's been done.
What's on the agenda?
what I'm asking, I'm sorry?
Okay, it's just a presentation on the agenda.
So what I'm saying is that we have a meeting with you on Thursday, right? What?
Yes.
I'm saying, we can listen to this, but keep in mind, it would be better served and much more appreciated, I believe, in certain settings, where we can really hear it, not just you going through it and us not really being honed in like we should. Does that make sense? Because if we're gonna adopt it, we need to know it. We need to know it probably as well as you know it. Would you entertain, well, that's truthful, because that's how you advocate for your district, when you know exactly what's going on, not just, you're just looking at it because you see a lot of colored pictures. So would you entertain that,
Sure.
county manager, that we, either we can finish this out this morning, but still have this as a part of that meeting? I think that this is too intricate for the county for us not to really grasp, this report, so that we can intelligently vote accordingly.
And we'll make sure y'all get color copies. And, I suggest we come down to each of your offices and spend some time with you, where you can kind of zoom in on your district, and that's probably beneficial as well.
Yeah, but I think the overall piece needs to be brought up in that meeting, because then we need to also, at some point, we've got to look at the cost associated, and probably what would be asked of the county, more specifically, our portion, even though we know that we're putting together a comprehensive report that could give us state and federal funding.
Right, and then won't cost us anything,
Okay, well, that costs us anything. That's even better.
unless, choose to build a walking trail. Okay.
So, it's up to the body, and you can either continue on, or we can really break this down.
Let's let it, 5 more minutes, let it go ahead and report for a long time.
Do a brief overview, just in preparation of the individual meetings that we'll set up between now and final adoption. We did the big focus was our Safe Routes to School program. This is a list of the schools that we contacted that provided input. Safe Routes to School projects. We had some internal workshops focused on each of these. We focused on sidewalk and crossing improvements. This is the proposed proposed ped and greenway network. It's got the urban commercial areas, signalized intersections, being pedestrian facilities, and natural areas for the greenways. This is just giving you a little bit, this map was a little bit more zoomed in because it is such an intricate proposed network. It gives you a better view at this scale. So if we just look through these are just your different areas of the county that we focused on in these maps. This is the proposed bike and greenway network. This is your overview, the factors that were considered for the vision for the network, a project. As project opportunities arise, as Heather said multiple times, this is a living document, so those can be added to or taken away from. Little existing surplus pavement width was considered as well in the proposed network. This is just as the last one, that was just a zoomed in version of this section of the county. We'll concentrate more on that in the more detailed presentation. These are the priority sidewalks using the equity and demand analysis that we looked at earlier. It's just a little bit different way to show that map, showing where we want to concentrate our focus. Here's a list of the top 50 priority sidewalk projects associated with intersection improvements.
What page is that on? Can you call?
Sort of back in
Should be a section recommendation.
I can't read that from here.
Table 4. And I'll be happy to look at all these individually with you if you have any questions.
And we did make some effort to try to marry those up with a combination of other projects. When we're in the vicinity, we're leveraging that efficiency under this approach, which kind of allows us to do double duty. So it allows us to prioritize that need for specific projects, and then also to leverage with existing planned projects in other areas that may not be specifically driven by that need, but may have an accident history or may have a road issue that we're also working in the area about. And so we're combining those two things, which is always the benefit of the high level planning.
Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I look forward to answering any questions you guys have.
Appreciate you put a lot of work into that. Very good.
Thank you.
All right, that finishes 7. District 3 other business, I have no such grant to the city of Grateful. And I have an appointment to the JC EIDA. Commissioner Ryan, say the best for last. You done that.
All right. Finance, Ms. Dixon.
Move 1 through 5.
Got a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Budget management,
Move.
Second.
motion second for the development. All in favor, say aye. Budget agenda. This is information only. For EMA, we've got to increase the revenue expenditures for the reimbursement from the city of Birmingham for personnel support for the World Games Magic 6 Classic. No additional funds. Motion.
What is this item? I mean, I'll second it, but explain that one more time.
When we receive funds or expend funds, it's not in the budget, we have to make the budget. Right.
Yes, we are getting reimbursed for
Right.
expenses that were incurred.
Revenue adjustment. Yeah.
And so this is to record the check and the
But it's
expenditures for
not
that.
in the budget, but came in and get just the budget.
My question would be, and I appreciate that, what reimbursables did we have regarding Magic Classic?
This is for EMA.
Okay, so
EMA stations for.
we had to
things
do,
like that.
we had to do EMA, provide EMA services from Jefferson County for the Magic Classic?
They're on point, and they're in place for the classic, because it's a large event, a lot of folks in one location, that they activate for those events.
City Classic versus EMA.
I'm sorry,
World
say it again.
Games. The Classic and the World Games reimburses EMA for their participation in the World Games and for the City Classic. Whatever that amount is, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
That's what I understand.
I would say,
Yeah, there's
that's the classic. I just didn't know that in addition to Birmingham, EMA has a participant. World Games I understood, or understand, but that's the classic, I didn't know that I'd be interested in knowing some of those fun facts afterwards. So it's been moved, you gotta say.
All in favor, please say aye. Developmental Services. Boss,
Yes, sir.
we have a resolution for approval of a new planning and zoning commission district.
Yes, sir. That was part of the presentation I gave to you last month. Like I said, we just need a resolution approving that.
I was asleep during that.
Not surprising, that's surprising. We can pull that up for you again.
That'd be good.
Yeah, look at that.
Just a review, quick review.
Quick. Again, we had to,
Is this where to get the members on the?
that's correct. Because again, state law requires us to divide the county into 6 equal populous districts that have half incorporated, half unincorporated. We came up with a map, it just requires commission approval of that map itself. Hold on 1 second. This goes into how we came up with districts themselves, showing and delineating where the incorporated areas are. And as you can see, your commission districts aren't going to align with that because, again, District 3, District 4, and District 1 now have the bulk of the unincorporated population. Districts 2, virtually none, and District 5 is very little. And so, I mean, again, that makes it kind of difficult to appoint via districts. But again, because of the way that the state law was set up in the 1980s, we have to devise those equal populous districts from which to appoint 2 members each.
Can you restate what you just said? I didn't hear it as well.
Right, again, because, again, it makes it difficult to appoint members to the planning and zoning commission because we have to do our districts different than the way that you all do your districts, as far as the commission goes. So I can't align our districts with y'all's districts just simply because of the imbalance between the incorporated and unincorporated population between all the districts. Okay.
Give me the district breakdown one more time.
District breakdown, 3 has the most, 4 has the second highest. You're right behind it. And then, like I said, District 5 and then District 2. District 2 has very, very little unincorporated population. And so again, this makes us creating the districts a little difficult. But again, the resolution that's before you is just to adopt that map that again was presented last month. If I can find it now.
If we was going by crime, it'd be District 2.
We're not going to say that. We're not going to say that.
The number of people that we have on the zoning board are represented by the number of potential unincorporated residents. Is that how that works?
That is correct. Each district that we have to create here is
So I have 4, 8, parts of 3, and
correct.
what is that? 1, got 1.
And this gives you an idea of how the districts, and forgive me, this is the best I could come up with, is how to demonstrate the difference between the commission districts and what we have to do to appoint members of the planning and zoning commission. The color code indicates the different districts that we've devised and we came up with as best we could using census data. And the black outlines are the different, are you guys' commission districts themselves. But like I said, all this is just to be in accordance with state law as far as the guidelines to appoint our board members.
Can you go back to just,
Yeah.
without all the, yeah. Okay.
like I said, that was kind of the best we could come up with, just because we have so many unincorporated pockets that are out there that hold certain population designations. But what we did here was we tried to group communities together for some call, we've got Grayson Valley, we've got Forestdale, we're all located within one central district, so that we can strategically pinpoint somebody from our more populated areas as well, where there is a lot of development going on and or redevelopment.
But you get on my district to Steve.
Again, again, this is all just based on where the unincorporated population is.
I move adoption of the map.
All in favor, please say aye. All right. 2023 Development Services Public Hearing Calendar. Do that.
This is just setting the dates for the zoning hearings. This is based on the calendar that you all adopted. It also has the dates of the Board of Zoning Adjustment hearings, which are always the fourth Monday of the month unless there's a holiday, as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is every second Thursday. Excuse me.
All right. Y'all want to go through these or just move to the agenda?
You just move second. Yeah. He moved it, and I seconded it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. All right, now, the zoning, you want to go through these individually or just move it to the agenda?
Well, I will tell you that before we move items 4 and 7 that are in Forestdale,
All right, let's do it this way. Read 220049.
trying to approve all others except those two. You want to do that? You want to move all others to the agenda since I have a question regarding those two?
Which ones were your questions?
4 and 7 that are in Forestdale. And actually, if you allow me the courtesy of the ask, we may move all of them to the agenda.
All right, what's your ask?
All right, so on number 4, it seems as though, if I'm hearing you, Mr. Morrison, or I'm reading this correctly, they want to take 2 properties that are already there and take it from commercial to residential.
That's correct. It's a compliance issue. These two are former residences that were zoned for commercial in the early 1980s. And since then, they've converted back to residential. So this is just to bring those properties into compliance.
Okay, but I would definitely want to make sure that because there was an issue concerning the developer that was trying to do some things out there. And I knew it was a different name, but I just wanted to make sure I'm not entering into that again, you know,
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we got,
unintelligibly. So if that be the case, then 4 can be moved to the agenda. Number 7 is about the split zoning.
Yes, ma'am.
And so obviously this person has a daycare and they want to take it from single family to commercial. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, and if you look at the zoning map, this demonstrates the situation. We have this one property that has these 2 zoning classifications on it. So this would allow for the entirety of the property to be used for commercial purposes. And again, it brings the entire property under one zoning classification, which is something policy-wise that we strive for. It's just easier to enforce.
Okay. All right.
But yes, ma'am. And on that one, both of these, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. In this particular case, staff is also recommending a condition for directional lighting, just because you do have residential property immediately.
So when you said residential lighting, who's supposed to be responsible? I mean, is it?
Well, no, just site lighting. If there's any sort of outdoor site lighting, for that lighting to be directed downward and not just a broad open light.
Who provides the lighting?
That would be private. It would be on the private property.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
all right,
If they were to have any lighting.
Oh, okay.
This is just an added protection for the residents.
Okay, but then if that be the case, have you been out there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does it appear as though it needs lighting?
Probably
In that
not.
area?
Probably not in the back, but again, that's up to them as to how they're going to develop the property itself. And this is just an added safeguard in the event that there is any lighting on that portion.
Yeah, I was just wondering why Alabama Power wasn't involved in that, especially if it's for public safety of the community.
Again, like I said, that's just for each any developer to have it offer or have it kind of lighting out of the property.
All right.
This is just, again, just a safeguard to protect those residences that are.
Okay. All right, so you got a mover, but the move, you can go ahead and do all 8.
yeah, but I do have a couple of denials in there that you want to address. Those.
That's
So we were talking only to move it to the agenda, not so much of.
Yeah, this gives you a
We can discuss those very quickly if you like.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, and I have a question on 61.
Case number 49, this is a request to, it's currently 2 parcels. They have been approved for 3 lots in the past. And again, what they're requesting now is to do 4 lots. They met with a lot of opposition from the neighboring properties. And as you can tell from the zoning map as well as your aerial imagery right here, that most of the area is developed in like your typical R1 sort of fashion. And so, based on the policy of the land use plan, which require us to basically adhere to the development pattern of the neighboring municipality, within this instance is Mountain Brook. And also we paid attention to Mountain Brook zoning as well, which calls for much larger lots than what they've requested. And again, with those things being considered, as well as the fact that in order to develop it in the manner that they would like to, it require extensive variances, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial.
And the current zoning
The current zoning
would
is
allow them to do 3 homes.
the current zoning is R1, which only allows for the 2. However, they were approved for R2 zoning, but that zoning was back in 2013. There was a contingency for site plan approval, which they have not satisfied yet. So they have approval for R2 for three lots, but currently, because they haven't met that contingency, it just remains with 2.
So if they did meet the contingency.
If they met the contingency tomorrow, they could turn in site plans, and we could subdivide the property, and they could have 3.
But this is for, and they want to go to a 5.
They wanted to go 4. They reduced it to 4 at the Planning and Zoning Commission.
This was 5.
Correct. And I apologize for that. That goes back to the way that we have to manage things in Minitrack.
Mr. Stevens, you got something on 6?
I have something on 61, I think.
61, yes, that's the carryover case from last month. It's not on your pre-commission agenda today, but it will be on the agenda Thursday because it was a carryover case. Recall, this is the one where they're requesting to remove or modify some of the covenants associated with the road project. And so, yesterday there was a meeting held with some of the folks that were here at the public hearing. And we, again, the roads and transportation staff attempted to explain the purpose and the need for the modification of the covenant itself.
I understand that. I know that there was a great deal of opposition at the last meeting. We had some people who were very familiar with it, Jim Byron. I wanted to know the meeting that we had yesterday that I really wasn't aware of.
I apologize,
We can apologize, but that's my district, and I really do need to be aware of it when you have the public involved down in roads and transportation, or something that's very vital to that end of the county and for our economic development, and for the coexistence of the existing community. That's very, very important, and we need to be abreast of that. I represent that area and that community. So, with that being said, please update.
We shared the projects that are ongoing in development in that area. We had 6 attend the meeting. The majority of the comments really relate not to the buffering requirements specifically, more just to a desire to not experience the growth and land use change that has already been previously approved with the industrial park. Really there's not specific objection to what we are proposing in the way that we are managing that buffering requirement. It's just an issue really with the development in totality, which we were needing to do something with that road, irrespective of any of that ongoing development. I think there is in general agreement that appropriate buffering that works with the drainage, provides that screening, is not something that they object to. They just really don't like the development.
And I met with all of them that were at the commission meeting, right after the commission meeting. I believe with Mr. Byram and several other citizens' main concern was the buffering. And we explained that there would be a standard requirement for the buffering, such as evergreen type trees and underbrush. And we're very happy with that. And we've tried to call him back several times. We keep trying to get him. Then the mayor of the city of Lakeview, which is in Tuscaloosa, really wants a grocery store and all this stuff that has nothing to do with the buffering. So there's a lot of complaints that are getting mixed in with what the city wants versus what we're trying to do with the road and the street.
And so correct me if I'm wrong, this is just for that situation where we're having to take down, not do the bank.
Right. You had a covenant that required an earthen bank. And when you look at putting an earthen bank all over parallel to the road, it just doesn't allow for drainage, it just doesn't work. And they actually seem to prefer, kind of a standardized, nice looking vegetation. They just wanted to be assured it wasn't just gonna be some loblolly pines and we go away. So we'll have a standard planting and then requirements for it to be maintained, and I think they were happy with that.
So, Mr. Town Manager, I actually ditto what you're saying. In this setting, it's good to get information. As a representative of a district, it's always good if you can bring them back to their representative along with whatever that is being said, so that it doesn't appear as though we're just totally out the loop. You know what I mean? I think because I remember that taking place, are you speaking of after the commission meeting, maybe 2 commission meetings ago or something like that, or maybe the last one? And then when it was doing you all went outside to talk and then come back, but it's always good when you represent a district. We get here by votes, you get here by appointment. They get here subsequently, through personnel board or however they come about, but nevertheless, your constituents always need to know that you are aware, because when they approach you, about, hey, did you know this, that, and the third, it doesn't make you feel good inwardly when you don't know the facts for yourself. But then we have to come to a meeting setting like this in order to find out. Am I making sense?
Sure.
Yeah, and so I think that could be accomplished, if we all just, when we are having these conversations, to just make it a point, even if it's by phone, so that we can be involved in the discussion.
Absolutely.
That's not, that's on you, I know that that's kind of above your pay grade, but, we're still in the governmental arena. And so it helps us when you all have these meetings, to make sure that we are there either physically or by phone, some kind of way that we know, so that we are accountable to the folks who put us here.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna agree with what probably transpired. I know I spoke with the environment the last meeting, who is very familiar with this project and what's going on. There's others that were probably involved that were not. And you have self-interest as a dominant motive that drives our society. And these people were looking at their self-interest. They didn't want to change. But perhaps we can talk with them and understand that change is coming. It's inevitable. There's too much down there, and there's too much money involved. And what we're trying to do now is to create an orderly change, one that will coexist with the residents of the community and be better than what it was. And that's my job, is to try to put the constituents and the county roads and trams together to find a comprehensive, cohesive plan that everyone says, well, I'm not real happy with it, but I can live with it. That's my job, and just give me an opportunity to do my job. That's all I know.
And that goes for all 5.
Teresa Ready.
Number
Is it a motion?
5.
It was, if he was done, I didn't know if he was done.
Number 5, another denial, but was there any opposition to that other than from the land plan?
Yes, that's in your packet. We did receive a letter of opposition from, I think it's a civic league, Village Springs Civic League. And that's included in that.
Three through. Do I have a motion to move to the agenda?
So moved.
Well, he's already moved.
Well, moved.
So then I'll second. You moved it, I'll second.
Please say aye. EMA has a couple of, items. All in favor, please say aye. General services. Ms. Hill, Ms. Trish. General.
Good morning. Good morning, General Services is here. We have 3 items on the agenda this morning. BL Harbor International for Project Manager Services for the Youth Detention Center. Jack and Joe's Window Cleaning for various window washing projects. And then the 3rd contract is BL Harbor International Project Management Services for the Jefferson County Animal Care and Control Facility project.
Do I have a motion on 1, 2, and Jack and Joe?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Jack and Joe, good business is squeaky squad. Okay.
Is that a small business, ma'am? Jack and Joe's? She's gone. Cal, do you know?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, what is your question?
I was asking, sweetheart, we've already passed it, but what I was asking was, since they are making $215,000, they're washing hopefully a lot of windows at that price, so I wanted to know, is that a small business? Do you know?
It's a small business, but that amount that's there, it's really gonna be upon request. So what General Services has not had in the past was a vendor who could do windows that were for high-rise buildings. And so we needed a vendor who could actually do that work. So it will be available upon request. So it's not going to be an annual PM, but that business is a small business.
Okay.
Is that contract for 3 years, or is that? Oh, I'm sorry. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I know, but look at me. Okay, so the reason why I asked is because I think that especially when we've been talking about diversity in small businesses, I think that Helen, a hint to the wise is sufficient. I mean, it needs to be known that the county not only does business with corporate, large companies, but we also support small businesses. And this would be an ideal situation where you can be, able to say that the county, by way of a contract we just approved, will ratify on Thursday. That's why I'm asking. The business name sounds like the Squeegee Squad doesn't sound like a corporation. It sounds like a small business. You know what I mean? And as a matter of fact, Miss Tricia, it'd be nice if for those services that you all are engaging, County Manager, if you can see that, the small businesses that we have been engaging, if you can quantify that. Yeah, I think that would be good. So if we can show that we're moving in that direction, I know that, I don't want to call him a pastor, but Michael, what is his last name first? Mr. Matthews. I know he's been doing a tremendous amount of work trying to engage, small businesses.
And we got our, what we call it coming up.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
We'll have to.
Yeah, because you don't want to just be having meetings to have them. You want to have some results that come behind the meeting. That's the reason why I'm asking the small businesses if you can get whatever department to quantify what that looks like, including this, that would be great. All right. That's all. Thank you, Ms. Tricia.
Okay, thank you.
Those are passed. I have.
Approve items 1 through 5, including 5 includes your appointment.
Motion in a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I apologize for losing complete control of my committee today.
All right, got any attorney, anything? No. You got one more thing. One item of new business. Or just-
Request, for discussion.
Okay.
On each year for radios, for youth detention should be 8 radios. They have no backup batteries. The ones that they have coming in.
Go ahead, you need 8 radios, Doc.
She only have 8. She needs more radios.
18.
18 altogether. Because they can't hear her, but she can hear them on the radio.
Darren, did I know we discussed that.
Yes, sir. I got Chris, and sent another, invoice of the similar radio, to be sure that it works in youth detention, like the Motorola that you're talking about. And we're still vetting that right now.
I just need to support radios for youth detention. They need radios. They don't have any. They have 8, but they don't. You can't hear.
Let me ask you something, didn't we just purchase
Not
radios,
youth detention.
but then we just purchased that today?
From the.
Cat?
Okay.
Doc? Yeah, that was something there. That was separate, so we.
You know what I'm saying, can't we get radios? Yeah, radios, I'm saying, can we not utilize those?
Compatible with the system that they're currently on.
Yeah.
Also, Commissioner, you want to make sure they work in that building, because there's solid concrete in that building.
Yeah, there was a problem, that we looked at the radio when we came out of the office, and Dr. Hamilton was good, and to go ahead and try to get them going, but there was one thing that is to make sure that the radios work within the building itself. And that was the only requisite that we had left, and it was a very attractive price on the radios, and we just come back to the commission to do that, so here's.
So I mean, is this an item for consideration?
No, that's just, that, she was asking that it be, but you're already working on that.
That's correct.
Okay, so does it mean that we're not?
There's another option that may be better,
Okay, so we're not taking
that
that
they're
action?
considering not taking.
That's what I was trying
When
to
will we
figure out.
know that we can get, because they need them like emergency.
This afternoon.
Well, that's what I was about to say, can we have it?
If we need it,
Okay, we do.
if we need it. Anything,
Like I said,
you got?
Did y'all pass, the tax collector item?
I don't know, you tell me what that collector item is, I think.
That's their report for, litigation, insolvent.
Oh, wait a minute.
I think y'all skipped.
Hold on, Joe, this is what he's talking about. The final report.
He said he was in trouble.
But there's someone during the meeting, so he can take control. You see,
That should be under the county
it's
manager.
on 16. It's on you.
All right, tax collector, final report of 2021 for litigation and insolvency.
Move that.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, see that nail biter football game last night just had me on.
I switched over to CBS and watched the CSI. Switch over a bit, it was pretty good. It's kind of anticlimactic, but kind of like this. Kind of anticlimactic at the end, yes. Okay.
I know y'all are tired, we're trying to build a culture of continuous improvement, and we're trying to bring y'all some
Well, we have slid down that slope this morning, haven't we?
And, I want to show y'all some improvements they've made on the building inspection side. It'll take about 2 minutes. And then Darren's got to read you another story of something.
I'll have to have a year.
You gonna put this on Facebook now?
Well, it's all real time now, so having to drive to the courthouse or call the courthouse and get somebody to try to check it, or got a question from the contractor or the home builder or the homeowner, then we can get on the iPad and in real time, see where we're at as far as what the process or what's needed to put forward with the process of the construction, whether it be an injury board, a foundation survey,
If there's the plumbing inspectors or the electrical inspectors make notes and the other bill inspectors as far as any corrections that might be resolved before he can move forward, all that's in real time. We get on the iPad with the permit number, look under the comments, if it's a partial, which tells us something's not right, put another partial under the comments. And that allows us to relay that to the contractor, the homeowner, to let them know that they need to talk to the electrician or the plumber, who it might be, that these are the problems that's causing the holdup in the process moving forward, or sheetrock or seal, or whatever it might be. When it comes to, when we want meter releases or power or COs, then the contractor accesses the system to upload the energy codes that require, the county requires, to get the meters released and the CO resolved, and we go behind that and make sure, do a walk through the house, make sure that they're compliant with mainly on the CO, on the building files, the safety part of it, tempered windows, handrails, smoke alarm, on carbon monoxide, make sure all that's in place, and then CO can be moved forward after that. But the input code there has to be uploaded in the system for that to be done. This is Daniel Phillips, and this is how we serve the people of Jefferson County.
And if I can real quick, Darren's got a quick story to read, a great story about another.
That is really good.
Yeah.
Because that is requiring an inspector to go out there, come back, make a report, send it to whomever, and then they have to read it. Man, that's good stuff.
And all the departments need to have a office.
Hi, Commissioners. We had a senior security officer.
Congratulations, Steve. Congratulations, Steve. Thank you.
But we have got a senior security officer, Suzette Witt, that was having lunch at the Bright Star on December the 22nd. And while she was there, she went into heroic actions to save a man's life, a B.J. Parker. He was, I guess, having a steak, and he choked on the steak, and she saw him, and she went over and did behind him. And was able to save his life right before Christmas.
That's all.
Suzette Witt.
And where does she work?
She works for the security office down in Dustin, security office. I was hoping that we could do a proclamation at one of the commission meetings.
That's a great idea.
And Jim's favorite eatery.
That's right.
Right? Stop it.
And the last thing I got, Commissioners, we got a tremendous amount of work coming up this year. A tremendous amount of work's been done by a lot of folks. Morgan Road construction's coming, almost getting done. Morgan Road extension at Lake Shore. We're buying right away on North Chalker Road. The Grass Mill Road project in Irondale's coming along great. Old Tuscaloosa, we talked about it, industrial park has brought a lot of jobs. And a lot of folks have done a lot of work last year to kind of get these projects teed up, from planning and zoning to finance to everybody, and I'm really excited to get those underway. And hopefully, the dog pound's coming, youth detention.
We call
This will
it
be a busy
animal
year.
intake facility.
Animal care facility, I apologize. So some great projects coming up. Thank you all for investing in us, and we're right to it.
That'd be one too.
That's right.
We call it the final resting place.
One more thing before we leave. Thank you. Before we leave today, the mayor, Fairfield wanted to bring into, which I knew about it, but to the body's attention as it relates to Aaron Aronoff, county manager. I mentioned it to you before, as relates to they having public safety issue there. They have no lights down on that stretch of the road, and it has caused a few fatalities, my understanding, and they need the county's assistance in that regard. So just wanted to make sure that I had that for the record today.
Okay.
Aaron,
The rest of those, because I have some.
Don't those cameras that get you a ticket, give you a ticket work on.
not well, I mean, not in Fairfield, Midfield, yes, but not Fairfield.
Midfield give you a ticket, so be careful.
So their lights should be working perfectly.
And then we need all departments to be on standby and high alert. Angela's pushing hard to get the audit done quickly and on time, as you all know, for refinance and all those documents we need, so that is taking a lot of time as well.
Refunding will come about, Commissioner Knight and I've been in several meetings. We will update the body as soon as we have something that is actionable. Right now, we don't appear that we're ready right yet.
But we're in the process of getting ready.
Getting ready, that's what we're doing, getting ready. So we can tell you, we're getting ready. We're fixing it. Wayne, you have anything to share?
Nothing today.
Like to say a word to you when Spence here.
Sure. Anything else?
You know,
Well,
you had
I
one
was-
for the, groundbreaking coup.
Good brain, that's right.
State art.
It was good, state of the art facility.
And I wanna say this. I know we give y'all a little bit of a hard time sometimes, but I wanna thank you and your staff and all these people that's put in the hard work for some of this stuff. Because I think you've got a good vision. I think you're trying to pursue that vision and know the hard job. This isn't easy stuff to do because it's meticulous and it's time consuming and sometimes it's, a little bit.
Well, that's why I was saying that we needed to make sure that we had it in another setting as well, because 99 pages, while it's a lot for us to absorb, I'm sure it took them a while to even put it together, and nothing is more disrespectful than for a person to ignore, to sweat equity that went into doing it, you know? I'm sure Heather wouldn't like it.
We're adjourned.